Morning, everyone.
All right, so we can get started now that it's 11. So thank you everyone for coming. This Q&A is basically just going to be focusing on college and how to be successful here. So what to pack and resources that we have at UNH. So any questions that you have, feel free to just throw them in the chat and I'll just be looking here to answer those questions. We're just going to start by introducing ourselves. So I'm Lauren. I'm going into my junior year in the fall. My major is occupational therapy and I'm from Madbury, New Hampshire.
Hi everyone, my name is Ginny. I'm going to be a senior in the fall in Human Development and Family Studies, and I'm from Auburn, New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Noah. I'm a rising junior. My major is communications, and I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. So I'm just going to get us started with the first question, and then as anybody has any questions that come up, just throw them down in the chat and we will answer them. And we also just have a couple of questions that we have prepared as well. So they might be answered in that as well. So my first question is, what was the most important thing that you brought to UNH for living in a dorm? And I can share my answer first. So my most important thing was probably my AirPods or headphones, because it is nice when you have a roommate to be able to kind of like have your own thing going on your phone, or when you're like cleaning up your room or doing anything, to just kind of be able to have your own music on. And then another thing that I thought was really helpful was a phone wallet. So it's kind of just something that I have on the back of my phone. I can show it. It's like this. And then I would always keep my ID in there. And so it was really easy to be able to get in and out of my building, or if I ever needed it, it was right on the back of my phone.
So my answer to this question, the most important thing that I brought to UNH to live in a dorm, I actually have three because I think it's fun to share more than one. So the first one I thought of was a good shower caddy. So especially if you're not in a suite style living situation, most likely your first year you would be using a communal bathroom. So it's really nice to have something compact and easy to carry that you can bring to and from the shower. I'd also recommend bringing a mattress topper. So one of those kind of like foam things. I have one that's only, I think it's like an inch, but it just makes it a little bit of a difference, makes the bed a little more comfortable. And the last thing that I would recommend is a bed lamp, because all of the rooms have overhead lights, but like the ones in this room, they're kind of bright. So I always liked having a lamp next to my bed so that I could turn that off like right after I wanted to go to sleep.
And for me, my thing I wish I would have brought this my first day is a lanyard. My first day here at UNH, I actually lost my room key, but then I was able to find it, and then I definitely got a lanyard from there. Just keeps your key secure, don't have to worry about anything. And then for your room, I definitely would suggest a second pair of sheets. It's just so much, not a big hassle. So like you have to wash one pair, you can toss a fresh set on, no problem. So you don't have to like wash them, dry them as quickly as you can before you can lie back into bed. So yeah, those are definitely the things. A lanyard and second pair of sheets.
I would second both of those.
I would as well. So another question is, did you forget anything that you wish you brought?
I can start us with this question. This one's kind of specific, but I wish I had brought more like outdoors things. So I think I thought I'd be spending so much of my time just inside or in my classes doing my homework. And while that is a big part of your college experience, you're also going to have free time. So something my friends and I really like to do is to go out around the hills on campus and go sledding when it snows. So I wish I had brought a sled or like a good pair of like snow boots so that we could go outside and enjoy those things, because we ended up just using plastic containers and breaking all of them. So that's still fun, but I would highly recommend a sled.
Yeah, and if you're coming like from outside of like New England, if you haven't really experienced like snow, like Ginny said, really invest like in snow gear. I'm from Pennsylvania, I don't really know this New England cold, but I really wish I just would have invested like my first year just in a nice pair of like winter clothes, so like scarf, a nice hat, a nice coat. Those are definitely something I wish I would have just like had day one ready. So like when it does get a little cold and that wind does pick up, you're not like shivering out there. Winter gear is definitely the most important thing, especially if you're not from like New England or anything like that. So.
And I would definitely agree with all the winter clothing things. But another thing that I definitely forgot and wish that I had kind of right from the start was a business casual outfit, because a couple of my classes had presentations, and for presentations, it's nice to kind of dress up for that a little bit more. And the professors sometimes, depending on the class, will expect you to dress up a little bit more. So having kind of just a good outfit to go to with like good professional shoes, I think is a really good thing to bring as well. And then my last thing is some snacks for your dorm room. The night that I moved in, for some reason, I was so hungry and I didn't want to go back out to the dining hall or anything. So I just kind of wished I had a granola bar or something like that that I could have had in my room. We actually have a question from the chat now. So this question is, what is something that you brought with you but you regret now?
Too much clothing. I think you come to college wanting to bring like everything with you. Like, what if I need to wear this or that? But more often than not, I was wearing like jeans or leggings and like a t-shirt and sneakers to class, just like those more comfortable types of clothes to go and sit in a lecture for a while. Or it was good to have, a set of clothes for the gym and good winter stuff. But I just brought like everything in my closet, and you really don't need it. You'll find that a lot of times you're dressing more casually, and it's just nice to not have to do nearly as much laundry either. So I regret bringing my whole closet my freshman year, and now I really kind of choose a smaller amount of clothes and bring them seasonally too. So I don't bring like all of my winter stuff right away.
I would agree with that. And your clothes aren't going anywhere. They're still going to be there when you're at home. And when you go home, maybe for a long weekend or something, you can bring a few things home and switch them out for new stuff. Kind of just reevaluate as you go on throughout the year what you need and what you don't need. So definitely the clothing is probably the biggest thing that I hear from everyone else on campus too.
Yeah, I got to get the same thing. I brought like my entire wardrobe, like trying to fit everything in. It's like too many clothes, and really you can make it like a seasonal thing. So like I have like fall clothes, like fall shirts, and then when it comes to the spring, it's easy to like transition them out. I can bring my winter clothes home. Not really needing all that stuff. It can really free up your space. And then like come move out time, you don't have all those like leftover clothes and baggage you have to carry. Just makes moving out just like a seamless transition.
Definitely agree with that. So what are some resources that have helped you to be successful at UNH?
I can start. So we have the Center for Academic Resources. So if you really just need those like time management skills, if you want to get more organized, CFAR is a great place. I went the first day of my freshman and sophomore year. They have like a big calendar of all the days of the semester. And for me, I take this calendar, I go through all the syllabuses that I have for all my classes. I write down every assignment. It might take a little bit, but it's a great way to visualize, okay, this week is going to be a little busier than others. This week, maybe not so much. And it's really just having that physical calendar on my wall makes everything you can look at things on a day-to-day basis, even on a weekly, and for longer term projects, just a monthly basis. But CFAR is definitely the best place to go if you're like looking for a tutor, just need help on like how to study for an exam. CFAR has definitely been most beneficial to me.
For me, I'd say one of the most helpful things that UNH provides as a resource for students is the UNH app. And on the UNH app, you can see basically anything that you need to know. So you can see the transit, so the bus schedule, when the next bus is coming, and that's in live time. You can see what laundry machines are free in your building and how many minutes are left on the machine, so you can kind of time that up how you need. You can see the dining hall menus for 10 days out. So one of my favorite things that my friends and I did was every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we would go to a different dining hall because they would all have ice cream on those nights. And so we'd kind of just follow the ice cream around by looking at those menus online ahead of time. And then also there's a calendar and events section. So you can see every event that goes on during that day or during the rest of the month. It's all on that app. And a lot of the times those activities might be happening in the MUB. So the Memorial Union Building is kind of like our student center. And we would be having maybe like a comedian come there or the farmer's market. And so you can kind of see that at the beginning of the week and go through and plan what things you would like to work into your schedule. So it's really helpful for me as well.
I'd agree with CFAR and the app. Both of them are great resources, but I think my favorite one, at least for my first year, was something called Career and Professional Success, which we call CAPS. Each college division here actually has their own division of CAPS. So these are people who really know about the professions in your field of study and that want to get you those resources and professional skills you need to reach your career goals. And obviously, as a first year student, like career might not be your top priority or thought, but for me, it was just getting that process started. So my first year, I went to CAPS in my college division, and they actually helped me to write my resume. So they gave me this like awesome template, and I filled it out with a career advisor. And from there, I've actually kept that same resume throughout my whole college experience. I'm now a senior, and I've just kind of edited it and plugged different things in as I gain more experience, and that's been like so awesome. CAPS also provides these kind of like counseling sessions that they do. So twice this year, actually, I was kind of freaking out about what I was going to do with my life and like what are the opportunities for me. So I met with one of their career advisors, and they talked through like, what are your interests and where do you see yourself in location and in like career aspirations and things like that. And they walked me through how to achieve those goals with my education at UNH. So we picked like 3 careers and drew like physically drew maps guiding me through like how to get to those goals. So that was something that was really helpful that I don't think is talked about enough. I didn't really know that that was going to happen when I signed up for this session, but I was sort of desperate for answers. And now I would recommend it to anybody like first year or senior to go in and talk to people about the opportunities, because it might even introduce you to a field you didn't know about before.
I definitely have heard of other people using CAPS for things. So one of my friends was applying into the nursing program to transfer into it, and she had to do an interview for that process. So they did a whole mock interview with her, and they talked about everything like shaking the interviewer's hand, sending a follow-up afterwards, and answering those tough interview questions like, what are your strengths and weaknesses, that maybe you don't really know the correct way to answer that, or to how to kind of highlight the good things about yourself in an interview. So definitely CAPS is a great resource for students. We have a question from the chat, and that is, do you recommend buying textbooks for your classes, and when should you buy them? So oftentimes professors will kind of send out a syllabus even before your class starts to be able to see that. So would you guys recommend kind of buying those right when you see that, or would you recommend kind of waiting? What do you typically do?
I can start us off with that. My first year, I bought books right away, and mostly from the bookstore, and I regret that. What I found is that some classes you really do need the textbook. Like I've had classes where the homework problems are in the book and you need that in order to, find them and do them. But more often than not, in my classes, the textbook was more of a supporting resource than it was a necessity. So I would recommend, at least in my experience, and you guys should comment too, but to not buy textbooks until maybe after your first couple classes to see how necessary it is. And when you're buying textbooks, you should probably rent them too, because it's often much cheaper, and I'll use something like Chegg or Amazon and find ways to rent those textbooks for cheaper prices, and that way I'm not responsible for the textbook or have to lug it to or from home. You can send it right here. You're actually assigned a mailing address when you commit to UNH that comes right to the Memorial Union building. So that makes it really convenient not having to bring textbooks to and from home. You can just get them after you're on campus.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest renting over buying, and definitely waiting till like the first or second class. I remember like I got the syllabus beforehand. I saw, oh, we're going to need this book. I bought the book, and then I get to class, and then the professor's like, oh, actually this book comes included within your tuition online. So like, I didn't really need to buy the book. But yeah, renting, you can do that on Amazon, even through the campus bookstore. You can register, you can rent those books online. So it's a very seamless process. Also on the bookstore's website, you can type in for what your class number is, and then it'll actually show you like what you might need, whether that's a book, whether that's like an online journal or something like that. But definitely rent over buying. But if you think if you think the book is going to help you going forward in later classes, that would be a situation where it might be beneficial to buy that book rather than renting. But for me, renting is definitely much cheaper. You don't really have to, like Ginny said, you don't have to worry about like bringing it home after the semester ends. You can just send it back to Amazon or the campus bookstore. So.
No, you briefly mentioned this, but I would also say that the online textbooks can be a really good option as well, because something that I really like about the online textbook is that you can basically search the textbook for a certain keyword. So maybe you're really kind of curious about one area of your class, or you have a homework question that's about something. Instead of going to the index of the book and finding that, you can quickly just look up the exact word or the sentence or the phrase and see a list of every word that is mentioned in the book. So that's kind of a really easy way to be able to navigate the textbook. So I definitely like the online textbook. So sometimes it is nice to have the physical copy as well, just depending on your preferences. We have another question, and that is any advice for students that are coming from warmer states? So that could be like California or Florida. And then how would you recommend that they prepare for the move to UNH? We kind of mentioned like some winter gear things earlier, and that's probably my tip would be get a nice winter jacket or pair of boots for kind of walking around campus. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, definitely just got to go off that. Like really just invest in a nice pair like your freshman year, and that'll really carry you. That'll last you all throughout college and even past that. Yeah, it's really, the cold is definitely the biggest, like if you're coming from like a warmer state, the cold is definitely the biggest like shock factor in a way. But yeah, really winter gear is just the biggest thing, most necessary. So.
And something I can add to that, just like in terms of location, UNH is kind of in the center of everything in my mind. So we're like 20 minutes from the beach, an hour from the mountains, we're an hour from Boston in Massachusetts. So we really have kind of all of those different aspects of a college campus where you can have that really New Hampshire feel right here on campus. But if you're looking for ways to kind of feel like home or experience a different atmosphere, there are a lot of ways to get around and to see different things. So maybe even if you're coming from far away, just be prepared for going to the beach someday and like going on a hike the next day and then taking the train down to Boston. So there's a lot of different things to do that you might need different gear for, you know, a bathing suit or hiking boots or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It does get pretty warm here in the when you first come in the fall, it's pretty warm here for the first couple of weeks at least, and then by the time it's like May as well, that gets pretty warm as well. I'd say sometimes I like to just have like shorts, a t-shirt, and a light sweatshirt during the like warmish cold months, and then in between time, just because it is nice to, it is sometimes gets a little bit cold here. So just to have like a couple like light sweatshirts you could easily carry around, but also still preparing for being able to still go to the beach and do all those warm activities during the first and last months that you're here as well. So another question from our chat is, what is your favorite activity to do at UNH?
I can start this off. So on campus, we have the College Woods. The College Woods about 5 miles deep and a lot of great areas to hammock. So me and one of my roommates this year, like usually like once or twice a week, go out in the College Woods. You know, a lot of great spaces to explore. There's the paths, there's the trails. You can follow the path signs. Find a place to hammock. Really, any 2 trees that are close together, you can set up. I like to do this. It was very nice to get out of my room, experience the warm weather, just really like be in nature. Kind of unplug from like my phone, from all the technology, just like take a break, listen to some music with my friends, get to explore more of Durham, more of campus. This is a great way just to relax for a few hours or so, just hanging around.
I love colleges as well. I would say that my favorite thing at UNH to do, kind of like midweek usually, would be to go to Union Court in the MUB. And that's basically cafeteria style. It's multiple different places. They all have their own names and their own type of food there, and it's kind of all to-go food. So there's a really big section of tables right outside of there, and students are always covering that. There's usually like students like live music a few times a week there. There's when there's not live music, there's still music playing from the UNH radio station as well. So that's a great option too. And I'd say that's kind of just a good way to have everyone kind of come together, and it's good food and it's good people, so I like it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do on campus is the group exercise classes at the Hamel Rec Center. So that's our student gym on campus. And these exercise classes are all included in your student fees. So once you go to the gym, basically you have access to everything there. And Lauren mentioned the UNH app. We also now have a new Campus Rec app that you can download for free. So that app actually has the schedule for like intramural sports and the hours of the gym. And it also has a schedule for the group exercise classes. So at least once or twice a week, my friends and I will go to a Zumba class. We also, once or twice on the days we're not doing Zumba, we'll go to cycling. But there's also kickboxing and weightlifting and like a core exercise and all these different ones that are taught by students actually. So they're usually really fun, like upbeat. They play really good music, and it's a way for me to be active without like really thinking about it. So I think it's really fun and just something that gets me out of my room and staying active while I'm on campus.
Great. So do you have any advice for how to eat healthy at UNH? I can start with that. So I definitely feel like our dining halls have a lot of different options. So we always have a salad bar, and there's different stations kind of all throughout the dining hall. So there's screens that are up above each section of that, and they are going to be able to tell you what allergens are in the food and what the food is called and everything. If you did have any more questions about the food at our dining halls, you could talk to the chef at the dining hall, or we have a nutritionist on our staff, and she's more than happy to meet with any student about eating healthy. Or for example, if you maybe were vegetarian and you wanted to make sure you're getting enough protein in your diet, she'd be able to talk to you about that. And she's more than happy, including your tuition, to be able to talk to her about those questions and concerns, and just to learn more about the dining hall and how to navigate that properly.
Yeah, and on the dining halls too, there's, like Lauren said, there's a lot of variety, like the salad bar, there's like the deli bar, the grill, and any dietary, if you have to do any like dietary restriction, like vegetarian or vegan, all their UNH is able to provide you with these all these accommodations, no questions asked. And no matter what meal plan you have, so for our three dining halls, no matter what meal plan you have, you do have unlimited access into the dining hall. So, if you just went, but you're still hungry an hour later, you're able to go in and pick up whatever food you're interested in. So,
I think the big tip that somebody told me during my freshman year was that the food will be there again. They're gonna have cookies every day, so you don't have to have it right then. Usually a lot of the stuff, like you'll see it at least twice in the year, whatever the meal is. So it's not, you don't have to have it right then. You can always get it the next time that you're there. You're gonna have many options every time. Another question we have is, what was the freshman experience like? So maybe we could talk a little bit about the transition to UNH and kind of how you make friends and all of that. I can start with mine because I did do a pre-orientation program, and that is something that I think is really cool about UNH, is that we do have a lot of options for pre-orientation programs. And for mine, I did one that was called Pause. It's a pre-orientation adventure for Wildcats, and I went to the White Mountains with a group of about 7 other incoming freshman students, and we had 2 student leaders. We did a bunch of different things during that week. So we did canoeing, rock climbing, hiking. We were camping the whole week. We would go swimming every day. We made food together. We would have fire pits at night. And that was a really great way to kind of transition onto campus, having that kind of support system already through that program. And then I don't know if any of you want to talk about Wildcat Days, maybe, like kind of when you first arrive on campus.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So typically our first year students move in a couple days before upperclassmen, and that was something that I really appreciated because it gives you a chance to figure out the campus and adjust to that new lifestyle before the campus is full. But it was also really exciting when everybody showed up here because it made the campus really lively. So don't be afraid of that. But I think those first few days are really important because it's a time for you to get to know your RA, who's a resident assistant. So this is a peer that lives on your floor that has a bunch of resources available to you. They're a great person to just talk to and get to know. I still talk to my freshman RA because she was only a year older than me. So now we're just like friends too, which is really fun. But The Wildcat Days include walking around the campus. You'll probably take a tour of it with your RA at some point. You get to go to a bunch of different events. There's one called Jukebox where you go and you can get free stuff. You walk around the MUB and see some student orgs. There's one where you go and take your big class picture together in the Wildcat Stadium, and they teach you a bunch of the UNH chants that we have for our pride at sports games and different events around campus. And throughout the coming weeks too, there are also a lot of specific events in the MUB for you to attend. So there's things like magicians and improv shows. They do outdoor movies on T Hall lawns. So there's just like a lot of ways to get out of your room, and a lot of it is optional, but I can't stress enough how much I would recommend going to them. Some of it might seem cliche, you know, everybody has those orientation days, but that was the way that I really felt at home on campus, and it kept me from worrying because my mind was so busy thinking about like, oh, this is a fun thing to go and do today, or where are my classes, and let's go and like talk to these people we met at, you know, the picture today who happened to live 2 floors down from us in our residence hall. So it's a time to make a lot of connections and just get used to the campus before you're diving right into classes.
And then even once you have like settled into your room and on your floor, leave your room door open just for like the first few weeks at least. A lot of people pass by. That's actually how I was able to. That's how I was able to meet a lot of the guys on my floor. Just stay at their doors open. I noticed something in there. I noticed something. We had something in common, something we liked in common. You stop in, you knock on the door, you meet the people on your floor, and these guys I met, some of my best friends, guys I'm living with going into my junior year. And as Ginny mentioned earlier, RAs, they put on a lot of socials too. Socials are a great way for you to get out of your room, meet the guys on your floor, and then hall directors. So bigger than the RAs, residential hall directors, unique to UNH, there's one hall director per residence hall, and they put on more bigger programs. So, you know, building socials, and that's another way for you to get to meet other people, you know, not specifically to your floor, other people in your building, get to meet your hall director, get to know your RA a little better. But socials, you know, they might seem a little like cliche, but they're a great way to, you know, really get into the camp, get into UNH, meet the guys, meet the people around you. Not definitely with the biggest thing for me. It's just like even if you don't talk to these people after they knock on your door, it just really helps you feel welcome into the UNH. So yeah, leave your door open. Very helpful.
Yeah, and I think leaving your door open is such a great way to meet people. And same with just when you're living in a residence hall, it is kind of like community living. So you share a bathroom with these people, and I would always be brushing my teeth at the same time that some other people would be. We'd be on the same schedule for classes or the time we like to go to bed or something. And so after a few times of seeing those people there, I would just say like, hey, see you here. Like, we're always like brushing our teeth at the same time. It's so funny. Like, where are you from? What's your major? Like, introduce myself a little bit. And I think kind of taking that first step to just say hi to someone, then they're going to really appreciate that and want to like engage in a conversation with you right back, because everybody's wanting to make friends during freshman year. And then from there, I would actually end up spending like a half an hour sometimes just like standing in the bathroom talking to random girls on my floor, and now they're some of my close friends. And I think that that's just a really kind of great thing about living in the dorms, that you do just kind of, the more that you run into those people, the more comfortable you get to just saying hi to them. You might see them around campus or at the dining hall and end up kind of just sitting down with them and eating together. So definitely a lot of good ways with the community living to get like to make friends. What do you guys usually do between classes?
I think that's a great question, because college is different from high school in that you're not going like class to class to class every day. You might occasionally have a class back to back, but more often than not, you will have an hour or two between your classes, or you may even have a day without classes, depending on your schedule. So for me, that usually means one of two things. I'll either go and find a place on campus to study and do some homework. So I really like the libraries we have on campus. We have our big main library called the Diamond Library, and that has quiet rooms and a bunch of like couches and tables and things for you to go and do homework. I talk about it all the time, but I personally really like the library that's in Kingsbury Hall. It's a smaller space that's usually really quiet, and that's how I enjoy doing work. But if I'm not doing homework during that free time, I'll try to get a meal with my friends, or I'll go and do something for one of my student orgs. So if it's around lunchtime, I'll text my friends and ask them to go get a meal. If it's the first couple weeks of school for you, you could even just ask somebody in class with you to go. I bet you they will say yes. It's kind of a cool thing. I think first year students let go a lot of that awkward, like social asking type of thing and just will go and eat lunch with people and just enjoy that company. Or for me, like I'm a tour guide on campus, so sometimes between my classes, if I have enough time, that's when I'll sign up for giving a tour or something. So there's really a lot of opportunity in that free time to be productive or to just take a break and enjoy your time with friends too.
I would definitely agree with that. I would probably be going to the library between classes, maybe back to my dorm room just to hang out for a little bit and just relax in between classes. Maybe going for a walk in College Woods, like Noah mentioned earlier, hanging out on T Hall lawn, something like that is probably where I would be. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it's like really that is your own time. Like for me, yeah, go to the library, like get some coffee. You know, if I do have an extended period of time, maybe like go back to my dorm, like take like a small nap or something like that. But usually I was just doing some like homework, maybe just like reviewing the notes from the class I was just in. Or just like hanging out. But that time really is like your own, and it really is. Oh, I really enjoy like not having to go like back to back classes. So
I definitely agree with that. You have a lot more flexibility than you do in high school when you're in college. What do you think UNH is like for POC students? What do you think are their views on university life?
I can start answering this question. I mean, obviously I can't speak from personal experience, but I'll do my best to kind of share with you the resources I'm aware of and what I've heard from students who are POC. So I think one of the most important things to be aware of is the Beauregard Center that we have on campus. So this is a space that is there to promote and support diversity and inclusivity on our campus. They're actually kind of in combination with something called the Diversity Support Coalition. So this is groups like United Asian Coalition, Black Student Union, Hillel, Mosaico, there's a couple others. But those are different ethnic groups or religious groups that meet around our campus that are supported by the Diversity Support Coalition. And the Beauregard Center also is in the works with Alliance, which is our LGBTQ+ Alliance group. So kind of the point I'm trying to make here is that the Beauregard Center is making an effort on our campus to get students involved with other people, as well as educating students who maybe aren't part of those different groups. So you can stop into the Beauregard Center at any time and talk with different students, have conversations, or maybe that's where you'll meet your friends and just hang out and have a good time there. There's also professional staff in the Beauregard Center to talk to and to get to know. I know a couple of them, and they're just really awesome people with a lot to share. Something else that I'm aware of too that has been really important over the last year or so on campus is some of the social justice and racial equity initiatives that our administration had put together. So President Dean has been sending out a lot of updates about handling bias or incidents on campus and making sure that we're having a more comfortable and safe environment for all students. So unfortunately, I can't really give you personal experience with these issues or, it really talk about it from my personal point of view, but from what I've witnessed and heard from other students, those are some things that have been really helpful.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you know the name of this program. I am totally blanking on the name, but it's another one of our pre-orientation programs. And the girls that lived next door to me in my residence hall during my freshman year, they both did this pre-orientation program. And it's for students of marginalized identities, I believe. So if you guys know the name of that one, or it would be on the pre-orientation programs like website. Can you talk a little bit about the areas surrounding UNH, like Dover, Portsmouth, Newington, Newmarket, and things to do in those areas? Maybe how to get there as well. I can kind of start us off by talking about that. So we have the bus system, and we have the largest transit system in the state of New Hampshire. So it's really easy to get around. You just look on the UNH app for the transit section, and it'll tell you when the next bus is coming for each of those locations and at what stop around campus it's at. So I think it's really easy to get to those places and to be able to get back. There's bus schedules as well. Where do you guys usually like to go in the surrounding area?
Oh, just to insert for a second here, the name of that pre-orientation group is called Connect.
Yes.
So if you were interested in connecting with students beforehand, before you come on campus, then that would be a really great pre-orientation group to get involved in.
I'll put the link in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Lauren. So for me, something I did a lot my first year was going to Portsmouth using that bus system. There's a bunch of fun things to do down there. I really like being on the seacoast, so going and seeing the ocean was always exciting for me. And also kind of a fun transportation getting around thing that I did my freshman year was that the Patriots won the Super Bowl. So my friends and I actually took the Amtrak train that runs right through our campus down to Boston. The tickets were pretty reasonably priced, and we were able to go there and back in the day and just have a good time doing that. So you'll never feel trapped on our campus. I think it's kind of nice that it is such a residential campus because there's a lot to do here and it makes you kind of want to stay and feel like home. But if you're ever looking to get off campus, the bus and the train are really valuable for that.
Yeah, and like Lawrence mentioned this earlier, like the UNH app is super helpful with the buses. You can always see the bus's schedule, when it's going to get to your stop, how long it's going to take you to get to somewhere like Dover or Portsmouth. I'm also a huge advocate of the Amtrak. I maybe like once or twice a semester, me and my roommates, it's very easy, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, take a day trip down to Boston. The trains run very early in the morning and up to about 10:30 at night. So it's really easy to maximize your time in Boston. And then some buses, to Dover and Portsmouth, but even just getting around campus, the bus is like very simple to use, very handy, very accessible. So yeah, big ups to those programs.
A couple of the things that I like to do in the area, so I'm obviously from this area, and there are things that I did when I was even in high school, but Adams Point is owned through UNH, and it is just such a beautiful place to go and go on a walk. There's a nice trail that goes all along the water by Great Bay, and the sunsets there are so beautiful. It's if you can go down like little stairs in different spots of the walking trail to small little rocky beaches, so you can kind of get your own little beach there, which is really nice. Mendham's Pond is another option that's also UNH owned, and it's open to UNH students to use. I've gone there to rent paddle boards, kayaks, just to hang out by the water there, go swimming. There's an island that you can either swim out to or kayak or paddleboard out to as well. So definitely a lot of good options that are even just UNH owned things in the area. And kind of going off of this, does UNH have a downtown, and what are things that you can do in downtown, or what are your favorite spots maybe to eat or to hang out downtown?
Yeah, so I can talk about this. So downtown Durham, right on Main Street, very close, about a 5-minute walk from like anywhere on campus. A lot of great different restaurants, coffee shops. There's one restaurant in particular, like the Big Bean. Great place to get some breakfast food. I like to go with like my roommates. It's a Saturday morning. We just want to, not really to abdicate from the dining hall. The Big Bean is a great restaurant. But if everyone's like walking around campus, really just want to get a cup of coffee. Breaking New Ground is a great coffee shop in downtown Durham. But yeah, lots of great restaurants, coffee shops, convenience stores. Really anything you could ever need is right there in downtown Durham.
There are some fun stores down there too. There are two called Town and Campus and Hayden Sports that have a bunch of UNH gear. So a lot of t-shirts and sweatshirts and different things you can maybe wear to sports games or just have for UNH pride. So I always like to go down and check those out at the beginning of each semester just to get some more UNH stuff and to represent our school.
I think it's really nice also that downtown is kind of really clearly laid out. So it's just one loop, and it's just a big one-way street. It has everything that you would need there. We also have a Hannaford, like a grocery store, and then also a Rite Aid that are in a little plaza right next to each other. So we do have a pharmacy on campus at Health and Wellness, but if it was cheaper for you to get a prescription sent to that Rite Aid, you could do that as well. It's in very close walking distance, and just have that grocery store nearby is really nice too. There's a bus stop that's really close by to it as well. So even though you could walk there if you wanted to get like a couple bags of groceries and not have to walk back with it, you could easily take the bus back to your dorm room or your on-campus apartment. So whatever works best for you. But I think that those are some good. It's really nice to have that close by, definitely. I've been really thankful for that. Do you guys have any advice or kind of want to share what advice you would have given to yourself as an incoming freshman? Anything that like kind of looking back on coming to campus, is there anything you maybe wish you did differently or just wish you kind of had a different perspective on?
I would say the biggest thing is like we're all in the same boat as first year students. I think I thought I was the only one that felt like kind of lonely my first few days, or the only one who like didn't have somebody to go to lunch with because I hadn't really met people yet. And you're really not. I had some really great experiences where after a lecture or something, I would just ask somebody who was sitting next to me to go get lunch. And more often than not, unless they had class or something, the answer was yes. And we'd go and just chat and talk about how our first week or so was going. And some of those people I never talked to again, but that's okay because it was a great experience just to have them for that time and to get to know them and just to feel a little more of a sense of belonging on campus those first couple weeks. And I think it's also good to know that it's never bad to ask questions. There were things that I kind of wondered about or like in hindsight, I wish instead of like just thinking about them all the time, I had asked my RA or asked my hall director or even talked to other people on my floor about the homework in a class that we had together, and I knew that. So just I think don't be afraid because all of us are a little bit worried, I think, when we get here and we're all experiencing something really new. So it's cheesy, but I would just say like just ask questions, get to know people, and don't really hold yourself back from that because it's only going to make your experience easier and better.
I definitely agree with that, and just kind of taking pressure off of it for me was a big thing because I kind of felt like that everyone that maybe I met when I was first coming to college had to be my best friend, or that if I was going to make a friend, these are the friends that I'm choosing now. And so I want to make sure that these are like the people that I really want to spend my time with. But then I kind of through time just realized that you can have friends in different areas. Maybe you have friends that you like to do one thing with, but then maybe you don't want to also do that with the other friend or something. So you can kind of have friends that have different strengths and different things that maybe you spend a little bit less time with them, a little bit more time with them, depending on that. But not every friend has to be your perfect friend, and you can kind of just meet people through people as well. So when I started, I definitely like have met most of my people through other people as well. So maybe they had a friend and then I became friends with that friend as well. And now we're all friends together or something. So you just kind of have to be patient with that process and just let friendships happen naturally and over time and not put too much pressure on them at the start and just kind of enjoy someone else's company and just getting to know someone new, having a conversation with them, maybe opening up, sharing some things with them. So I know, do you have any?
Yeah, and for me, it's just like just breathe and like relax. Like you don't not everything has to happen all at once. You know, college is like 4 years of your life. You know, the friends you make your freshman year, you know, going into your sophomore year, they may not be your friends, but that's okay. You know, you still have a lot of time to like meet new people, try new things. You don't immediately have to rush into a club your first semester freshman year. You can take your own time, go at your own pace. And for me, I kind of like was like a little overwhelmed. Like, oh, I have to do like all these different things, but you know, there's 4 years, and really just go at your own pace and just like take a step back and just breathe. And it's like one bad grade on like an assignment, that's not going to be like in the moment that could be maybe like the end of the world, but in the grand scheme of things, it'll be okay. Just relax, breathe, and yeah, and like Ginny said, ask questions. Like your professors, like they want to help you. Like they're not out to like trick you or anything. Just be yourself and just take a breath sometimes.
Yeah. So what are the top 3 things you suggest doing before you graduate from UNH? We could each share one thing maybe, or just kind of throw around some ideas, I guess.
I had one that came right to mind that maybe isn't something that's talked about a lot, but I definitely think everybody should get to know one professor that you have throughout your college experience. Like, have a meeting with them or go to their office hours and talk more about their research, get to know why they're teaching the class, how did they get to UNH being a professor, and also share your interests with them too. I have one professor that I had my freshman year that I talk about all the time because I went and interviewed her once for an essay that I was writing, and then we kept meeting and talked more about her research. And She ended up getting me involved in a class my first year that usually is only offered to juniors, and gave me that opportunity because we knew each other well. And now she'll write my references for different applications I'm doing, or invite me to different events around campus. So it's really a mutually beneficial thing because she loves talking about her research and getting to know her students. And then it's also helping me in my education and gaining more experience. So one thing to do before you graduate is just, it doesn't even have to be a professor, I guess, but just get to know somebody on the faculty or staff at UNH and really like invest in that relationship with them.
For me, I would definitely suggest like going to a hockey game, whether it's hockey, football, or soccer. All student tickets, those are all included like in your tuition. But hockey is definitely one of my favorite sports here on campus. I just remember my freshman year, went to probably about a dozen games like with my roommate. It was a great way just on a Friday night, get out of my room, celebrate UNH and the traditions, the theme nights such as Whiteout. These were just some of the best experiences, and the team is pretty good and everybody's excited. Everybody has a lot of energy. Hockey games are just a great way just to shut out the rest of the world for a few hours, celebrate UNH, and just I would really recommend going to whether it's hockey, football, or soccer. Just one sporting event. You'll find that you'll really like them, and you definitely want to go. You'll want to go back more. So.
I agree with that. I would say something that I've really enjoyed. So freshman year on campus, I definitely focused a lot more on making friends and just kind of like adjusting to college life, getting into my routines with everything. But during my sophomore year, I took on a lot more. I like participated a little bit more in all of my organizations, and I think that or my student organizations. So having kind of a few student organizations, even just one that you can kind of put some time into and maybe eventually take a leadership role in that organization and kind of just learn a little bit more about that, get to know it a little bit better. I'd say that that's a really important thing to do with your time at UNH, because it is that time in your life where you have all these opportunities for connecting with other people and learning about something new and joining a club for something random. Like if you just have even if it's not related to your major at all, if you just have a random interest, exploring that interest through a club right now while you're young and while you still have all the resources to do that, I think is really awesome. So taking a leadership role in that organization can be really beneficial to you as well, and can look great on a resume and can help you a lot in your future just with working on a team and management, I guess. And then another thing that I've done that I would really recommend everyone does, and I don't think enough people do it, is taking advantage of the outdoor adventures program here. So I did a rock climbing trip with them, and normally they're under $20, I would say. Some of them are free, some of them are $5, depending on transportation and gear. But I went with two of my friends, and they had two leaders go with us. We went to a local mountain, and we went rock climbing outdoors, which I've never done before. They drove us there, they gave us all the equipment for it, and it was a really fun experience, something that I just kind of wanted to try out and just decided to do it. And I hope to go on more trips in the future. I want to try ice climbing and just kind of do those random things that I might never have the opportunity to do that again with a group of other college students, other people my age. And it's kind of nice to be able to try those things out while you still have like the rest of your life ahead of you to maybe take that on as like a serious hobby or something too. So I'm gonna, if there's any more questions in the chat, or if anybody has any lingering questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. I'm going to ask our final question, and then if there's any more that come up in the chat, we can answer that as well. But this is just kind of a good one for us to wrap up on as well. So what was the best decision that you made during your first year at UNH?
For me, it was definitely joining a club. In high school, I wasn't in any clubs or like any extracurricular activities in high school. But my freshman year, I joined the student representative program, just being a tour guide on campus, and that has allowed me. It was definitely one of the best moments, best experience, best choice that I've made so far at UNH. So many opportunities have arisen because of it. I've met a lot of great different people, and just I've really found a new love for the campus, and getting to learn so much more about UNH and its history, and just being able to share my experiences as a student on these tours. That's what I really find is like I can have that impact in sharing my experiences about what life has been like here at UNH. So yeah, joining a club, it was definitely, I was kind of hesitant at first, but my friend, they said, no, we think you'd be a really good fit. You should definitely just try it. And that initial push, it was scary in the moment, but looking back, it was definitely one of the best decisions I've made.
No, we actually got a question for you in the chat. Somebody's wondering how you cope with moving to a completely different state for college and being away from your friends and from home for the first time.
Yeah, so me coming out of Pennsylvania, it definitely was. Nobody from my graduating class was here. It definitely was a big adjustment, but I always felt that those first few weeks, the socials my RA put on Brendan, those really did help me feel accustomed to UNH. And yeah, I guess I was a little homesick at first, but in the end, it's only about it's a 10-hour drive back home. So like if there was like an emergency, I could see my parents or something like that. But for me, it was far away. It was far away from home, but it wasn't too far away. And then just the socials, I was able to meet my close group of friends on campus. So
yeah, during college, your friends do kind of become family because they are there for you through those things. And I think that makes you, and opening up to a friend about something like that, like being homesick, makes you really closer with that friend. And you can, maybe they're feeling the same thing as well. And so when you can kind of relate to someone about that, I don't really have much experience of being that far away from home because I live like 5 minutes from campus, but definitely I think sharing that with a friend and just kind of relating to someone on that is really important and can honestly help you to become closer with them. Jenny, do you want to share what your most important thing in the freshman year was?
Yeah, sure. So I think the best decision I made is another cliche one for you, but being myself. I think in high school, at least for me, there was sort of this pressure to do certain things that everyone else was doing in terms of like student orgs or hanging out after school or, just kind of putting on this like front in order to fit in. But I think the most important thing you can do in college is just be transparent and be yourself because you will find your niche in terms of your involvement and your friends. And for me, that was a student org like Noah. That's where I found some very like-minded friends who I live with now, still going into my senior year. So I think I really would have regretted trying to fit into certain things that I just didn't even like. And so even if that means taking some time to find friends or taking some time to find a student org, it really is important to do the things that you enjoy and that you personally find important rather than trying to just go with, what you think you should do.
Yeah. So for me, I would say that the best decision that I made was kind of the summation of a lot of little decisions. So I don't think I ever really said no to something during my freshman year. And that was definitely something that really, really helped me to kind of just feel really like established on campus and connected to a lot of different people here. So whenever I got invited to something, I would make the time to go and do that. Whenever somebody knew that I met them, I would kind of continue to ask them if they wanted to go get food at the dining hall or if they wanted to, walk to that class together or something, go to a class at the gym together. And then just kind of like whenever anything comes up or whenever maybe you see something, you're presented with a new opportunity, to just take that opportunity during your freshman year. And I've continued to do that during my sophomore year as well. And I think that's made all the difference in my college experience. And I'm definitely really thankful for that. So just before we close out, I don't see any more questions in the chat. So I'm just going to kind of quickly say that we do have a couple of other live events coming up soon. So we have on June 29th, we have a live tour of the special features of campus. And that's like the barns and labs. And then on July 27th, we have a Q&A with another student panel about getting involved on and off campus at UNH. So I would really recommend checking those out as well. We have a few others. Those are just the upcoming ones. So if we don't have any more questions, I would just like to say thank you everyone for coming. And I hope that we were able to answer your questions and have a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you in the